You're listening to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. I'm Allison Boyle, aka She Dreams of Alpine, and this is the show that's dedicated to all the adventurous spirits out there who have either been transformed by the outdoors or are interested in what it looks like to step into a new, adventurous, and courageous kind of identity in their life. It doesn't matter what your background is in the outdoors, what age you're starting at, or where you grew up. If you're curious about the outdoors and using adventure as a way to reinvent yourself, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing all kinds of personal adventure stories, lessons I've learned from the mountains, teaching what I know about the outdoors and leadership, and interviewing some amazing adventurous women all along the way. I've been coaching women on becoming safe, confident, and self-sufficient backpackers and leaders of their own adventurous lives since 2018, and I know exactly what big fears and self-doubts can pop up along the way. I have so much to share with you, so let's dive in. All right. Hello. Welcome back to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. Today, I have a very special guest coming on to today's episode. It is Kate from my team. We are coming on to this episode to talk to you a little bit about climbing, and more specifically, we're getting ready to open up enrollment for one of our annual retreats that we host, and it's a women's rock climbing retreat in Joshua Tree that we typically host around March of every year. So this is coming out in October. We open up enrollment and spots for this program around the October timeframe. And so we just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what the experience of those retreats are like, because Kate goes on those retreats with me as one of the guides. And she's going to introduce herself here in a sec with a little bit more detail, because she does a lot more than being, one of our guides on the team and also helping us with other stuff at She Dreams of Alpine. But we just wanted to give you a behind the scenes of kind of what goes into these Joshua Tree retreats in case you are interested in joining us. Maybe you're a beginner climber, or maybe you want to get outdoors or just hone your climbing skills. And then we also just wanted to give you some practical tips to get started, because a lot of people in our world, yes, they find me typically for backpacking education, but as you've maybe heard in some of my past episodes, climbing holds a really special place in my heart as well. And it's oftentimes a part of our clients, adventure journey. They get into backpacking and they want to explore climbing, and it's just part of the process of them seeing what's possible for them. So first and foremost, let me introduce Kate, or I'll have Kate introduce herself. Maybe Kate, can you give us a little bit more information about you, what you do at She Dreams of Alpine, what you do outside of She Dreams of Alpine, and then maybe talk a little bit about how you got into rock climbing.
Yeah, I'm Kate Sadrowski. I've been part of She Dreams of Alpine, Team Alpine, for almost 6 years now.
Yeah.
Crazy, in a good way.
Almost since the beginning, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I am the blog manager. Content.
It really helps us out, yeah, with our blog content, all the great stuff that you see on there. Kate helps us keep it updated.
Yeah, update that, writing new guides, when we go to new places, when Allison goes to new places, help turn it into blog posts. So yeah, anything you see on the blog, if you see a mistake, feel free to let me know. So that's what I mainly do for Team Alpine. I'm also a coach. I'm in the Facebook group with our students, and I do coaching calls as well. And then outside of that, I became, now almost a year ago too, became certified as a AMGA, American Mountain Guides Association, single pitch instructor for climbing. So I can take you out and show you climbing, which is what I do on the climbing retreats. It all worked out. It was a goal I had that then worked out really well with doing these climbing retreats.
Right. It kind of paired almost in the same timeline that we started hosting these retreats.
It really was. The first retreat we did, we've done two. And the first one I had to work under supervision. I was working on getting my certification. And by the second one, I was certified as a single pitch instructor, which was really cool to, see the progress and
which that story, I mean, I'm going to have to maybe bring Kate back another time to talk about, I just think it would be cool to hear your I'll call it your reinvention story, just because you have a really cool, interesting background as well. We won't dive so much into that today's episode, but I definitely think we should come back to it. Yes. So, maybe like talk to us a little bit about how you got into rock climbing in the first place, just to give us a little bit of background.
Sure. A little more teaser for it's a really full circle moment for me right now because it's been about 10 years, 10 years this fall when I got into rock climbing. I had moved to Boston for a job where I was like behind a desk and not doing physical stuff, whereas my past job as a camera operator had been more physical. And my coworker invited me to his climbing gym. He had a free pass. And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's try it. Did not know it would completely change my life.
Yes.
Yeah, and totally found a community in that climbing gym, and just kept going. Spoiler alert, that job didn't work out after like 6 months. So then I just was all in on climbing. And then decided there was no reason to be in Boston anymore. So moved to Colorado and went even more full into outdoor climbing, sport climbing, and then trad climbing, and then guiding climbing. And it's yeah, so it's been 10 years now, and I've been reflecting a lot because I'm also about to do a women's climbing clinic in Boston at the end of October,
Yes.
back with
Nice.
where I started. So it's been a lot of yeah.
That is full circle. I love that. That's really cool. I mean, I relate in a different way. Like we have a little bit of different climbing stories, but I think what's really similar is I didn't realize like how much climbing would change my life. My like first introduction was I signed up for outdoor rock climbing at Garden of the Gods, ironically, which is where I full circle too.
Yeah, I know you told me that, and I just always think that's so funny that that's where you live now.
Right, that's bizarre. I didn't even really put that together until you just said full circle going back to Boston. But yeah, I signed up. I almost like I was going outdoor skydiving or something. I was like, I'm going to do this once and check it off my bucket list. And I just became obsessed. The guide probably was so, I mean, if you had been my guide, I know you wouldn't have been annoyed, but I feel like the guide that I was with was probably so annoyed. And I was like, well, how does the rope get up there? And who put the bolts there? And I had so many questions. And
I've
that
had
was kind of
people
like my
ask
spark.
me in Garden of the Gods when I've climbed there, just have people walk by and ask me. And it's like, I want to let
Yeah.
you climb. I want to tell you. So yeah, I wouldn't have been annoyed. And I feel like it's easy to get obsessed with. Not
Yeah.
everyone does, but like if it is for you, like it's easy to like go
That
for.
was the spark. I was like, I got to do more of this. Like, I don't know. There was something about it. I don't even think I could put my pin on it. I think this is like a really good transition into like our next topic though, is because I know that one thing that I struggled, it's like I signed up for like a guided thing, kind of like we were talking about how, or I was talking about at the beginning, how we're getting ready to open up enrollment for our Joshua Tree Women's Climbing Retreat. And guided outdoor experiences can be so powerful because they do give you that introduction point with people that know what they're doing, which is really important because there is a lot to learn safety wise when it comes to climbing outside. And like, I know that when I went on that first guided trip, like my biggest thing was like, how do I keep doing this? And like going from there. But I think you have to start from somewhere and we can like maybe we'll talk a little bit more about like tips for beginners getting started. But having that first touch base to see if you even like it or see if it's something that might spark your curiosity is super important. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I always like I've met so many women. I mean, I've only been a guide for a year or two, I guess, if you count when I was training. But I've met so many women through the course of my climbing who have been climbing curious. Like I said, whether I'm at Garden of the Gods and a woman comes up and is like, "Oh, how do you get the rope up there?" "Oh, I've always wanted to try climbing, but I'm too old or my
Yeah.
body isn't strong enough." And it's like there seems to be some sort of like barrier, and I think having a guide take you out. I got lucky. I never actually went on anything guided. I mean, I had my coworker take me. I had mentors and friends. I never
Yeah.
went on anything guided. But now, looking back on it, I feel lucky that my
That you
mentors
met the right
were
people.
safe and encouraging and supportive as I learned and would
Yeah.
handle like all my questions about like, the first time I went trad climbing and I wouldn't sit back in the anchor because I didn't trust it. I couldn't look at it and say, I know this is, you know,
Yeah.
relatively safe. And so I think, and I'm really there in Colorado, there are, lots of guides who can take you up a first flat iron and kind of like you said, like it's a skydiving thing. You go up the first flat iron, you say, check that off my list,
Right.
and now I'm never going to climb again. But what I want to be is a guide who like, helps women take these skills and then they can go off and climb. And I've seen people from our retreats do it, and it's so cool. Like, some of us follow each other on social media. And when I see
Right.
them out, I was just talking to one in Washington the other day, and she's like, she just, did her first lead climbs, and I was like,
Oh,
that's so cool to
yay.
see. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's my landlord is an even more advanced guide, and what she always says, like her goal as a guide is to give people their wings, and that's like I'm kind of
Right.
trying to emulate that. There's like I think that's different than just the check off the skydiving box or the climbing a big tall thing box. It's like, and not everyone wants to do that, but if you want to, that's what I want to do is like help you.
Exactly. And I think you know pretty quickly, like, I think it's one of those things, it's like if you have the curiosity for it, a guided experience is great because you can usually even rent gear and everything too.
That's
And you can go have your first experience and be like, is this something that's still calling to me, still pulling to me? But worst case scenario, you tried a new thing and like got to push yourself, you got to do hard things. You probably surprised yourself and like overcame a lot of like anxiety or self-doubt that you had around it. And maybe that is just one touch point, and that's fine. Like that's not a bad thing. Best case scenario, it like opens up the door to like a future passion, like it did for me and you.
Yeah, and I think we've seen both in our retreats. Like I said,
Yes.
I don't keep in touch with everyone. Not everyone's on social media, but I've seen, and there were people, in the moment who are like, I love this. I got to the top, didn't think I was going to get to the top, but never
Yes.
going to do it again. That was their like thing. And they're like, it's just
Right.
not for me. And that's cool. But now they know they enjoyed it, but they're just like, this isn't something I'm going to pursue. And then we have several people that I've seen, pursuing it and growing as climbers.
Yeah.
But everyone has had a great experience. It's a good way to get to know whether, like you said, whether I'm going to invest in the gear, whether I'm going to invest in more clinics and courses and guiding and, find
Totally.
mentors, or whether I'm just like, well, yeah, I tried something new and I surprised myself, but I'm going to try something else new because it wasn't the thing that clicked for me.
And one other thing like I'll offer on this particular topic is like sometimes I think it's like if you do have a passion in like being in the mountains and like being outdoors, I do think it's like a skill that even if you don't really take it like full on, like getting into sport climbing or trad climbing, and if you don't know that terminology, it's totally fine. But if you don't take rock climbing like super deep and like it's your main thing, it's still great to kind of learn some skills about moving with your hands and body because like there are, mountain climbs out there or hikes that require you to feel a little bit more confident in your mobility and stability and like moving across rock with your hands and using rope like if you get into mountaineering and just being comfortable with all of those things,
I
super useful.
Totally true. Like I'm not I don't climbing is my main thing, but I do some other hikes, but like mainly I do approaches to climbs, and they tend to be so much, more challenging with scrambling and stuff. So when I see, just a couple weeks ago, I did a steep trail here that has a scrambly section at the
Yes.
top where you have to use your hands, and it's like some people aren't going to want to do this, and I'm not concerned because I know
You feel very confident in moving in that kind of terrain.
I have not even climbed on rope, but just getting to climbs, I've been on more difficult terrain because that's
Yeah.
just how you get there. So I do think that is very true. And Joshua Tree in particular, some of the
Yeah,
places,
like slab
lots
and
of like boulders to scramble around to get up
yes.
things. And so that really does help you, like you said, learn how to move on
Just feel
rock.
confident in your body moving across rock. And like that's a skill that actually applies really quite to a lot of trips, backpacking trips or hiking trips that go beyond like class one. If you're ever looking, especially like if you live in a place like Colorado or California that have like big peaks, you'll end up on stuff that is usually beyond class one at some point. So having familiarity and like getting to work with people that can like teach you good technique, even just for those scenarios, maybe where you're not using rope, is still super useful as well. So this is a really good transition. Maybe let's just talk a little bit about kind of what those retreats are like. That way, if there's anybody who's considering it or wants to look at it, possibly doing a retreat with us, they get a better idea of like behind the scenes of what that's like. So right now at She Dreams of Alpine, we've only been hosting one retreat a year out in the Joshua Tree area. And we take all kinds of like different skill sets. So you don't have to be a beginner, but we do have a lot of beginners that join us. So we have a wide range of people that kind of join these experiences. And Kate can kind of attest, we are able to get you guys on like a lot of different types of routes. Maybe kind of break it down for us, like what the climbing experience is like, maybe even from day one or day two of the retreat.
Sure. So it's 2 days of climbing. And the first day we try to go to an area that's a little shorter walls, like just a little less intimidating if you are nervous about it. And we set up top ropes. The guides set that up. So it's not lead climbing on these retreats, it's top ropes, which is a little less scary. And all these
Yeah.
terms will, if you do come on a retreat, we teach you about all these terms beforehand. But yeah, so it's a little shorter walls and we get everyone used to belaying. Again, some people have some experience with belaying, whether in a gym or on, we've had past retreat participants come back. And some people have never belayed, seen a belay device in their life. And that's a really important part of the system. So we go over that. We go over what it feels like to be in a rope, have you go 10 feet up and sit in the harness so you can feel just comfortable. Cause sometimes your
Yes.
brain is like,
Like, I need to trust
whoa.
the engineering of all this.
Yeah, you don't understand
Yeah.
what happened up there. I mean, we guides, put up the ropes are up, but you haven't seen what's up there and you wouldn't know how to check it even if you did. So it's like,
Right.
yeah. So we work through that kind of stuff at the start of day one, and then we get everyone going and trying different climbs. Usually have different like slab climbs and maybe some crack climbs and some different stuff so you can learn different techniques like that. And everyone gets, to climb as much as they want until the end of
Yeah,
the
we pretty much climb all day. Like, you get your fill,
yeah,
essentially.
I've never seen, yeah, I've seen people get tired. I've never seen anyone be like, oh, I still like, there wasn't enough
Yes.
climbing for me. It's like people,
You can do
yeah,
as much or as little climbing as you want, essentially.
yeah. And then the second day, we try to go to a slightly bigger, more challenging wall. And the first day when everyone's like, oh, I don't even know if I can get to the top of that. By the second day, I feel like everyone every time has gotten to the top of at least
Yeah.
something, surprised themselves. Um, and so the second we build up, it's a progression. The second day, how to belay a little better, you
You're
feel more.
feeling more confident in some of those skills. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we put a little harder routes up, a little longer routes up. And, again, you can just kind of climb all day and you can learn different skills, and ask questions. We definitely had some people this time who like, when I would do something at the end of the day to take the gear down and bring it like, why are you doing that? Oh, you're asking me to do this. And that's weird to me. And so it's like you can, like we said, you can either just climb and focus on the climbing. If you have questions, like you can learn more about the techniques. We won't go too deep into everything, but like we're there to answer the questions about the system so that you can build on that in the future too.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things like I always say on any of the retreats that we host, it's like ask the questions, like get what you came for. Like if you are finding yourself like more and more curious about all the systems, they're like no dumb questions. You can be like I was on my very first rock climbing experience and be like, how does the rope? You'll kind of see some of these things, like how the rope gets up there because you are with the guides and with the other climbers, and we spend a lot of time talking through all these different systems and even climbing techniques throughout the weekend. But yeah, I always encourage you, like, if you have questions, the guides that we work with are loving to answer those kinds of questions. Yeah.
I always like I was excited when people were asking questions, when I'm like, okay, I need you to do this. And they're like, but why? And I'm like,
Yes.
good question. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to just blindly trust me. I mean, you can, and I will, but like, if you are curious why I'm asking you to do this, like I love explaining why.
Exactly. And that's the climbing is like it is the main event of the retreat, but we also do have other stuff going on. So usually our everyone gets in for the climbing retreat around like on a Friday evening. And we have a campground reserved in advance where we all get to camp. And Friday evening is all about like kind of getting our gear sorted for the days, meeting each other.
This
What were you gonna
last time we
say?
had someone who was like brand new to camping who
Oh
like
yeah, brand
was
new to
like
camping,
really
was
good
learning how to
experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
She
like
wanted to learn how to set up her system. She's actually inside of our backpacking badass program. She was like, this will be a great, I want to learn about climbing too, but this will be great for me to like test out some of this gear that I bought,
you're in
for
a campground that's like, in the front country that's you drive up to. So and you have all these other people, not just me and Allison and the guides, but even other, people who had camped on the climbing retreat to like, as she was
yeah.
dialing everything in. So that was a whole learning experience that was part of it too.
And water's accessible there. The last place we stayed had access to showers. That was kind of nice. If not, there are some in town. It just depends on where we're
The
staying
back
each
country. I
year.
just like to tell people that in Joshua Tree, like once you go into the park, you
Yes.
can definitely go into the back country and get like way out. But like we
We're
camp
in kind of front country, essentially,
you're 5 minutes from a town, like,
from a town.
people, yeah, like water is not an issue. So you can have pop, you can have,
Yes,
you can go to a
exactly.
bar, you can have pizza like we did one night. Like you're not, you're not,
Yeah.
it's, we keep that part a little easy and more comfortable so that you can focus on the pushing yourself and the climbing.
Totally. That's what I usually do. I usually drive my van up from Colorado Springs and I camp in the van that weekend, but it's like, you and I sometimes will eat at the campground with everyone, or sometimes we'll go grab a bite and eat at the campground. People kind of do different things. Like some people will go out to eat, some people will want to eat at the campground each night. Usually there's some sort of community aspect to it though at the end of the night, like
More,
campfires and s'mores and like good conversations with like just amazing women. So you get to connect with a group of women too that you likely haven't met before, but are there for similar reasons and excited to learn and just have a really fun, unique experience. And Joshua Tree, which is a really beautiful place too, if you've never been there. So
right.
that's like one aspect of it. It's like people come in on Friday and then Saturday and Sunday are usually our big climbing days, but we also usually pair that with a yoga. We have a yoga instructor. She's also one of our guide partners who climbs. She usually leads a session in the morning, which is perfect because it kind of gets you like nice and loose and like ready to climb and like feeling good. I like that flow. We've been doing that for the last couple trips.
Let me and the other guy go set up the
Oh,
rope.
yeah, that's true. Kate's
Like,
usually
I'm like,
going to
I
set
usually
up.
miss that part, but like we do 3 days of that because the last day we do, but like we do the hike, so I get to join. But yeah, I think it's been perfect. Like
Yes.
we go set up the ropes while you guys get loose, and it's
And then
like,
we come meet you at the
yeah,
climbs.
yeah.
Yeah. And usually the drive isn't that far, into the park. And then we come back in the evenings and then just get to do our camping thing. So we have 3 nights of camping at that campground. And then typically I also like to organize like a day hike on our last day. So we'll leave on a Monday. And it just depends on your schedule because some people like have to go straight to the airport and just head out, and that's totally fine. But some people don't have flights until the evening or the next day, especially sometimes some of our clients stay a few extra days because they've never been to Joshua Tree and they like do horseback riding or something like that. But
Do the aerial tramway where you
yeah,
can,
Palm Springs,
like, yeah, there's
there's
lots of
so
stuff to
many
do
things
around
to do.
there if you haven't been there.
Yes, exactly. So we'll usually do like a little group guided hike in the morning and then kind of say our goodbyes to everyone, and then everyone goes off to do their own thing. Or sometimes people do things together. Yeah,
It's people, if they come in from LA, they carpool together. Like there's lots of group opportunities and small group opportunities, not just like big.
exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of like the vibe of our kind of that's how the flow kind of goes. I've always been like super impressed with the groups that we've had and like their attitude towards approaching new things. And like you were mentioning, day one to kind of day two energy, it always starts out like it's very common to feel a little bit nervous and like anxious about the things on day one, but like know that you'll probably step more into that confident energy in your day two and by the end of day one, honestly.
There's a lot of stuff, if you're, even though we said like the camping is generally pretty easy in front country, it's still, you don't know where you're going. Like I said, people, even though we tell you, you're close to a town, you don't know, like you don't know where you're going to be, you don't know who you're going to be with. And there's always a little
Yes.
anxiety just with that. Plus, then you're climbing and all that. Like, so there's a lot of shakeout. That's why it's nice that we have the first night. So you get to know everyone, you get to set
Yeah.
up the camping before you climb. So that then you can go into the day two and you're like, okay, I know where I'm staying. I know these people a little bit, and now I can focus on my, fear with the climbing and work through that. And it nicely builds. And then, and then at the end, we cool down with a hike the last day. Like I think
Yes, exactly. Like an active rest day.
exactly.
Yes. And
If
we
you
usually
haven't climbed
go,
outside before, like it will be like 2 days of a full day is definitely, I feel like, help.
it's nice to have a break after two
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you've never climbed before, like your hands get tired. And, like, and this is something we talk about. Kate alluded to this at the beginning. When we host these retreats, we're always also interested in educating. Like, it's a big thing with She Dreams of Alpine, helping you feel more empowered, feel more educated about like climbing in general. So we give you access. Actually, Kate recorded this, but we give you access to this like climbing 101 so you can like learn a little bit more about the lingo and learn a bit more about like climbing technique. And the reason I bring that up is like, Kate probably mentions in that video, even if it's just briefly, like it's not always all in your arms and your hands. Like it's a big part of climbing is in your feet and learning to use your feet and your legs properly
And to
and
go
technique.
like to over grip. Joshua Tree kind of stops that because there's a lot of times because
Yeah.
there isn't a lot to grip, but like that's the thing for beginners is like they definitely try to over grip because you're scared or whatever, and so
Yeah.
your arms get tired very quickly. I mean, we talk through the techniques, but it's still easy to revert to, overusing your arms and getting tired. But uh
Yeah.
2 days is like a perfect amount of climbing. And then yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that we didn't mention is like I know a lot of people another good skill to learn, like even if you don't take climbing further, and something that we do give the opportunity during these retreats is learning to rappel or like starting to get your first touch points on rappel. We do this on top rope so that you're backed up, like, but you can practice the act of what a rappel would be like because I know a lot of people are interested in learning that as well. So that's something we also touch base on.
Skill, and you can choose again if you want to or not. If
Yeah.
that's something that if it's overwhelming you to worry about that, then you don't have to
You
do that.
don't have to.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
we set it up so that you can.
So maybe Kate, what is your favorite part of guiding in general? Because you guide more than just this retreat, but like what has become your favorite part about guiding?
I mean, I think it is seeing the people who are really into it. And obviously everyone in our retreat is. Sometimes I've done some summer camp things and stuff where like not everyone is like into it, but seeing the people who are really into it and like seeing them learn and grow. Like that, honestly, one of my favorite things is like seeing them grow over the weekend, but then seeing where they take it after is
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, like if I see a social media post and you're climbing, and even there's a friend I have in Colorado who like several years ago I had helped another friend who's an SPI with her women's climbing clinic, and I've just seen this person grow, and I'm just like, I went out with her as a climbing partner. Like we went out and climbed this summer, and I'm just like, wow,
Yes.
like 3 or 4 years ago, like I wouldn't have trusted you to belay me yet. Now I
Right.
do because I've seen what you're doing, and it's so
Yeah.
cool to like see that.
See that growth and that
Yeah.
journey. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's why I love climbing. Like you said, I don't know if I can really put a finger on why climbing is the thing, but it is growth, and there's so many ways to grow, whether it's climbing something harder, climbing something longer, learning a new skill, going from
Yes.
leading to sport to trad, whatever, like learning for me as a guide, like the technical rope systems. Like there's just so many different ways and so many different ways that are rewarding for different people. And it's like I feel like, I'm 10 years into it and I still have so I could do this my whole life and never stop growing and learning. And it's fun to see people start that journey
Yeah.
themselves.
And I think for me, like I've always really appreciated the way climbing has helped me kind of rewire my relationship with fear, even. It's like, the climbing has a lot of opportunities to be scared. But it's like you get to work on your relationship with that and like how do you want to feel like for me, and this is more kind of when it comes to like lead climbing in particular, like I have to really focus on that calm confidence in the face of fear, and climbing it puts you in the face of fear pretty quickly. But even if you're a beginner, like getting on something, being on this gear that you're like, I don't know, do I trust it? It's like
your confidence in yourself. Like I just
Yes.
recently, a couple days ago, did a trad lead climb that I'd done before, but not in a couple of years, and it was the hardest one I'd done in a couple of years. And there was a section where I was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I might have to take, I might have to bail. And then I was like, you know what? I can do this. I wouldn't say calm. I'm still working on the calm part, but it was like the
Yes.
confidence. I was like, okay, I can do this. And I did it. And like when you can prove to yourself that you can do that, it's just such a like when I
It's the
came down, I was
best
so
feeling.
excited. I was like, I can't believe I did that. Like I knew I could do it, but I didn't know I could. I don't know. It's something like switches. And now you're like, oh, and next time I can do something, whether it's harder or something like that. Like it just gives you confidence in continuing your climbing. And
Yes.
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's really hard to put a like exact pinpoint on it, like what it is that's so addicting about it. But you guys are just gonna have to try and see for
And like I said,
yourself.
at any level, like I see, that's what I think is so fun about guiding. Like, I see our clients, what even if they're on top rope, I see it's the exact same mental feeling, just a
Right,
different, you're doing a different level of it. And that's what's so fun is like if you go to the gym, you can see someone working on their first, boulder problem. And it's like, I remember when I did that. I feel like
right.
most climbers are really supportive and not like grade chasing like that. It's like it doesn't matter what I climb compared to what you climb. You're having the
Oh,
same
yeah.
experience that I have by pushing yourself, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I love that too. I love just like also just seeing clients I don't know. I love any moment where they were like, I just didn't think this could be me.
Yeah.
And then seeing like, well, actually, maybe it could be. Like, I just like seeing that little identity shift happen because that is a lot of like people come into these climbing retreats because a lot of them end up being our past clients. Our past retreats have filled up pretty fast with like backpacking badass clients. And they're just like, they found so much confidence in themselves and backpacking that they didn't have before. And then I start talking about climbing because I and you have such like fond relationships with it.
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah, fuck it. I want to see what this is about. Like, sign me up. Like,
They might be, and we've had some specifically who have done past retreats who are like scared of heights. So they get up there, they get to the start and they're like, I'm not going to climb to the top of it. And I'm going to try this, but I'm only going to go 10
yes,
feet. And every time by the end of the retreat, they've
they're
gone
going all the way up.
up. And it's like they
It's so
had
fun.
so many who are like, I'm never going to get to the top of that and be fine with it. They were fine with it. They thought like, it's
Right.
fine. And then they're like, well, and it's, you have all these people cheering you on at the bottom. Like, so it's like, oh, just go a little farther. The next thing you know, you're at the top. And we had the first retreat. I don't know if you remember this. We had God, what was it? It was a stuffed animal. Was it
Oh,
a,
yes. That
or
was
like,
Nicole, I think.
yeah, but what was the animal? Was it a marmot or a beaver? Because
Oh,
she's Canadian. I can't remember.
something like that. I can't remember
Yeah.
what
And
the
it
heck.
was like he became our emotional support marmot or whatever.
Yes.
I wish I could remember what he was, but like, and so anyone who like felt a little nervous about what they would want to do, we would like call over like, we need the emotional support, marmot over here. And
Yes.
like, we would attach him to the harness and he would go up with you, or you could pet him before you go, or, whatever. And it was just like, everyone is in the same boat, like trying this thing. And so
Yes.
it's everyone's super supportive about everything. But that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, I love that too. And that just like reminds me too. It's like sometimes the motivation to even join like one of our retreats or anybody's retreat for climbing is not always just to like see if you like climbing. Like some of our clients just simply want to like they're trying to take on the identity of somebody who like does hard things or does more scary things or does things that they never would have thought they would have done. Like it's a part of that practice. And I think it's like a way doing any kind of new activity. Like I remember feeling this way about mountain biking. I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to be a mountain biker, but like I'm going to sign myself up for this like summer long like weekly bike ride thing that they had going on in Colorado Springs. And I was like, mountain biking is what always scared me
It
so
gives you the
much. But
chance to like try it. Like we said, it might not be your thing, but next time you try a new thing, you will have that experience and maybe you will find the thing that you like. Like since I've started climbing and doing these things and had this outdoor adventure, like I had never skied except since I was a kid. And then a couple years ago, a friend like invited me skiing and I tried it. And it went really badly in terms of like, I'm never going to ski again. Obviously, I was fine,
Yeah.
but it was like, okay, I tried that. Not for me. But like the fact that I
Yeah.
still was like ready to try it because I try all these new things, I'm like, we'll see how it goes. Okay, that one's not for me. Cool.
Yes.
We'll keep climbing instead. We'll do ice climbing instead of skiing. But
This is
like,
the way we figure out like what hard things or what scary things we like to pursue. It's like not being afraid to try though gets us off,
yeah, and now I
gets us
have tried ice
into
climbing a couple
possibilities.
times, and I will continue. I'm not going to go as hard into that right now as I have into other climbing, but I like that I will try
Yes.
again this winter and do some more things. And whereas, skiing just not, but that's okay. Leave that
Yeah.
for the other people, and I won't have to sit in the ski traffic.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, yes. Ski traffic. Okay. So that is a little bit about our retreat. Maybe before we kind of like wrap up this episode, Kate and I can touch on a little bit of advice for some new climbers. I know that, so like one of my top tips, if you're a brand new climber, is to join some sort of guided experience to get a touch point, especially if your desire is to start climbing outside. Join a guided experience. I know Kate mentioned she didn't do that. That is unique. Most people don't get to find mentors that are willing to like teach them that much and safely.
I feel like, and not just because I'm a guide now, but because I've just seen how that can go badly for people.
Yes.
Like, not, I got lucky and I can look back. And I mean, I was picky about who I climbed with. And I have some friends who got, I would say, really lucky because they were way less picky and you don't know.
I
Um,
think you would know if you have like a pretty deep, like you'll maybe be able to assess that if you have those people in your life already.
I mean, I had friends who like would
Yeah.
be more just like, oh, I'll climb with whoever is free this day. And I was never like that. I was like, I'm gonna
Yes.
have my trusted people, and they were trusted for a reason. And I would add new people slowly. And part of it, I think, is maybe that I got started later. I was 35 when I started in the gym, so late 30s when I moved to Colorado. So I wasn't just like, whoever, I trust
Yes.
everyone. I was pretty picky, and I think that's what led to good relationship mentoring for me.
For
But
sure.
now especially for women, I've seen that it can be hard. I know a number of women who got out with like their partner, their,
Mhm.
romantic partner who may be a guy, and like that didn't, that ended or whatever. And then they don't have other people to go out with. They never were climbing with women.
Yeah.
And so I think a guided experience where you can learn the skills and feel confident that you know the right questions to ask even because I think one thing
Right.
when you're starting out you don't know what you don't know, like you don't even
Exactly.
know to ask certain things. So at least if you go on a guided experience you can get the basics and ask some questions so you then can know some of the questions to ask to make sure that some people you will climb with, like you can trust them. um
Right.
I yeah, I not just because I'm a guide, but I got into a guide because I into being a guide because I think that this guiding is important. And like I
There's
just
a lot to learn with the safety involved with like putting up your own climbs and leading your own climbs, if that's something you were want to get into. So yeah,
yeah,
I think
that
number one tip is like if you want to get into outdoor climbing in specific, like signing up, that first touch point could be just like discovering if you even like it. Like some people will just sign up for retreats like ours and just to see if it's something they enjoy, to get a touch point to start learning.
visit Joshua Tree in the process. So you're like,
Yeah, and get to visit
oh,
Joshua Tree in the
yeah.
process. Some people, that is like the only way they'll climb outside is by going on guided trips with AMGA certified guides and just knowing that they're always safe because it can be harder to find a community. It just depends on your situation and where you live and like you're
What your
stoked to pursue that
time, whether you have a family, whether
time.
you have a job,
Exactly.
like I mean, what your job hours are, and like,
Yeah. I
yeah.
have a lot of clients that like that's their main thing. It's like they like climbing. They don't do it outside as much. They do it mostly with the treats.
And
When
it
I
depends where you live too. I have access to climbing. You and I have access to climbing,
right.
20 or 5 minutes away. Like, some
Yeah.
people have to drive 5 hours away. Like,
And when I got started, like with outdoor climbing, like before I got confident in it, I actually did, unlike Kate, like I actually did sign up for a lot of guided classes after the fact, like especially when I wanted to start learning how to lead climb and do all these other things. I took several different classes before I started kind of more getting out there on their own. And but something that Kate mentioned that was really useful for me having done that is I started to know what was safe and
Mhm.
what to look for and what questions to ask. So when I did make climbing friends,
Yeah.
I knew that I was in good hands or wasn't in good hands. And
If the
like
red
that was
flag,
very important.
if your climbing friend like doesn't, gets annoyed by questions or whatever, like if you should always be able to have an open conversation with your belayer, whether you're less experienced or not, or like,
Yeah,
and for me, I will say the first time I took like an actual class was the course to become a single pitch instructor. And a big thing for me though, not just becoming a guide, but learning that stuff in a more formal way from someone, who was experienced as a teacher. And that's one thing is like guides are, as a single pitch instructor, not only did I learn technical skills, but I learned how to teach.
yeah,
So that is part of the curriculum to become a guide is learning how to teach things. You could go out with a friend who knows everything that they're doing, but might not be able to explain it or have the
yeah.
patience to explain it. And for me, it was a big
Or
step.
forget to explain something to you and
Yeah.
you're already in the middle of a climb and like it
That's
becomes
one thing with guiding.
big.
It's like I realize where people are at. I can say where sometimes you don't know, again, like if they're not used to teaching, they might skip over a step that they just forget is it's second nature to them and they don't think about it. But taking that course for me made me also a more confident and competent like leader when I do bigger things like multi-pitch climbs and stuff.
Right.
I feel like up until then I was capable, but I would always like deferred. I would tend to go out with more experienced partners and defer to them for like building an anchor, setting up the rappels, like have them go for. And once I this going and taking that guided course for me really just built my confidence. Like I know what I'm doing now, and I can step up in these situations and be an equal or even more experienced than.
Yes. I
So
feel that.
yeah, big, even though it's not how I started, big fan of guiding and like learning from.
And classes and stuff like that, especially if you want to take things to the outdoors, because it's going to be higher risk and it's good to like know your systems and how to be safe. All those things are very important.
And risk is huge, and guiding or taking a guided course will teach you a lot about managing risk in.
Risks. Yep.
Yeah.
And then another thing like that is more available to a lot of people who are just getting started and is actually kind of more like I did do some outdoor stuff, but a lot of my outdoor stuff in my very beginning, I kind of like Kate, I've been climbing for a little over a decade now, probably 12-ish years. But like my first few years in that were like doing more stuff at the climbing gym and like building like my confidence, bouldering or rope climbing at the climbing gym, building a community at the climbing gym. That is another thing that we really recommend as well is like if you want to start climbing more, like I think it's a super fun way to get exercise, to meet people.
And I mean, that's how I started. Like I was living in Boston and I was like, I became such a fixture at the climbing gym because of the circumstances that I was literally always there and people thought I worked there. Even people who worked there thought I worked there. And I never actually technically worked there. Like,
Yes.
but it's like I made so many friends that way. And that's how I started going outside a little bit in Boston. Mostly I learned a lot outside in Colorado, but my first times outside were like in New Hampshire with friends I had made at the climbing gym because you'll find the people that will be willing to take you outside that you can trust because you've trusted them in the gym and they can teach you some things outside. So it is, but I mean, I had a huge community and I'm going back to do a clinic in conjunction with that gym because it was such a like impactful space for me. So yeah, if you spend time at the climbing gym, if you're bouldering, you start to chat with people, like
Right.
it's yeah, big fan of the gym. It is very different than outside. I've definitely had people come outside and be like, "Where do I go? Where are the holds?" Because it's not.
Exactly. Like it's a bit different, but it gets you started and you get to work on building some of your strength. And I think some climbing gyms, like many climbing gyms have really great programs. So like I know that it's kind of like when you go to a gym and you're like, I want to start strength training. And at first, your first time in there, it's very intimidating because all you do is see like people you don't quite identify with yet. And you're like, I don't belong here. I'm going to look silly. I'm going to like these thoughts are going to pop into your head, especially if it's your first time in a climbing gym. But just go, like, I find climbing community to be one of the nicest communities, most open-minded and like accepting communities. So just trust that they want you to like have a good experience. Sign up for a beginner like
And
class
especially
if you
with
can.
other
And
beginners, I think it's very, I mean, of course, just like in any place in life, there are going to be some douchey gym bros and
of
stuff.
course, I
You can
just don't
ignore
find
them.
that the norm as much
No, but they, I
as
mean,
people
yeah,
say.
like
Maybe
they're,
outside more, but like in the gyms, I think
yeah.
it's
Like I mean, I remember at my first climbing gym, like I was working on, again, this is where I was saying earlier, it's like you know when people are working on something that's hard and challenging for them, and the climbing community will support that. Like I was working on a, I don't know, probably a V3 boulder, and these guys who climbed like V7, which is, a harder grade or whatever. Like I remember them cheering me on so hard. They weren't like
yeah,
the douchey gym bros. They looked like, stereotypically they could be, but they were like this, they could see how much it meant to me. And I will say too, at the end we'll mention how you can find me. And I am creating a PDF ebook about like, the
getting
intimidation of
started.
going to the gym for the first time and all that, because
Yes.
I do feel like, especially for women, I've seen that's a thing where it's like, I don't feel like I can take up space on the wall if I go in, it's like, oh, I see this guy who's, or even this other girl who's climbing hard and they're climbing this thing. And if I'm just going to do the beginner climb, like, oh, I'll just let them go first and then you don't try. And so like, I want to help people like get over that and be like, you deserve to take up space and you do. And
Yeah.
so signing up for some of the events they have, whether it's a beginner class, I find women's meetups. I helped start at my
Those
old
are great
gym.
too.
And it's
Yeah.
like, if
And
you,
we have like leagues as well at my gym. They'll do like, and I know that can sound intimidating, but like we have these adult bouldering leagues and literally people of all abilities sign up. And then they put you into teams and they like you get this just fun community, like you're all in it together working on these different climbs. And it's been the way I've met like most of my new climbing friends
yeah,
lately.
like leagues. And I'm not, I would say I'm a little less type A isn't than Allison. I'm not as big into like competition and constantly like
It was more for me. I signed up to meet people.
I'm going to say, like, I'm not someone who makes a training plan spreadsheet like
Yeah.
you might do. It's just not the way that I am as a human being. But like at my first gym, I did like I remember doing this competition, like, and I didn't think I was, like going to win. And I mean, I definitely didn't. But they have different levels of the competition too. So like, I did this bouldering comp, and it was so much fun.
So
Like,
fun.
yeah, like things like that, like are generally like super fun and not as competitive as they might sound. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Even if
Like,
you're
so
not
check out
like,
your local gym, see what kind of, ask them what kind of events they have. Don't be afraid to tell them you're a beginner and that you want to learn and like what's the best place to get started. And that's a great, like now climbing gyms are like my safe space. Even when I travel, like if I'm in a new city, I always am like, do they have a climbing gym here? I just want to go move my body and connect with the community that I feel like is my space. Like,
I went to visit my mom in Michigan, and like northern Michigan, this tiny little town, and I guess the one town is bigger, but like, I found on these online climbing forums, I knew there was a guy up there who was always on the forums, and I just reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, I'm coming to northern Michigan, like, could you belay me at this gym?" And he
yeah.
did, and he's super cool, and like, it was just a
Oh,
fun
and our
experience.
gym has like rentable air. Like they have systems like so all gyms have different kinds of things, so it's not the same at every gym, but like I just feel there's a lot of opportunities for beginners.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, it can become this like for me it's just like the best way, most fun way for me to strength train and like move my body and like do something fun at the same
I
time.
will say, especially if you're meeting new people, is be honest about where you're at and what you know, though. Don't try to like
Oh
say
yeah, oversell
something,
yourself.
or like, yeah, like it's important that people, for safety reasons and just
Yeah.
for fun reasons, and at the gym anyone can, it's sometimes better than outside, because like you could climb with someone who climbs many grades harder than you, because it doesn't matter, you're just at the gym, you just walk over the next route. But like if someone asks if you've lead belayed before and you haven't, don't say, oh yeah, don't, just be very clear about where your skill set is.
Yeah.
And again, people will tend to take you under their wing and teach you, but don't over exaggerate your skill set to fit in or something like that. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, you don't need to do it. But those are some quick tips. Like Kate said, we'll link to a resource that she's actually building that helps kind of dive into this more about like where to start if you're a beginner and like getting into the climbing space. That's kind of what it's about, right, Kate?
Yeah, no, it's totally like if you're feeling intimidated, because even some of the words I'm saying like might be
Yes.
you don't know what that is. So I have a whole climbing lingo guide, and then I
Yeah.
have a thing about how to like your first visit to the gym, like what you should get on, how to find friends, how to start getting outside. It's like all the more of it's less technical. It's not really any technical skills, talk about some gear, but like just so you don't feel overwhelmed, because I know
Yeah.
it can
It
be
can be overwhelming at
hard for
first.
me sometimes now. And I mean, I'm working on it as a guy, but like, yeah, I say things to like my mom and she's like, oh, what slab again? Or,
Yes. I
so
know. I remember I took my two best friends who aren't really climbers out climbing once with me to a gym, and I kept saying things, and they were like, "You're speaking a different language than us right now,
that's why
Alice."
I literally have this free resource and then this other ebook. But the free resource is this Climbing Lingo 101, just so you can like at least, it's kind of like learning a foreign language. You can at least pick up those words and be like, okay, I know what they're talking about. And I
Yes.
think it makes it less intimidating because it is
It
there.
will become more second nature eventually, but like at the beginning, yeah, there's like a little bit of a learning curve, but that's like
We were all
backpacking or
there.
anything.
Yeah, and we were all there. Like, I mean, I have a picture of me in one of these guides wearing my first harness in the gym upside down because
Yeah.
like I didn't know and my brother didn't check it. I mean, it was safe, like, but it was just like the waist belt was upside down. And it's like it's a learning for all of
I
us.
mean, I asked the guide who puts the rope up when he was
Right.
clearly the one putting the rope up. Like, I mean, there are no silly questions, you
Yeah.
guys. I have like asked them all.
Yeah.
Okay, this is great. I kind of, we haven't had Kate on as a guest before, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of end this episode with a few fun rapid fire questions just so y'all get to know Kate a little bit better. So let's just do that really quick.
Yeah.
Kate, what is your go-to trail snack?
Cheese. I am a
Any,
cheese fiend.
any
Like
particular type of cheese?
so for outdoor stuff, like harder cheeses, kind of in the Parmesan range. I have a picture of me at one of our Joshua Tree times, or I have a picture of the cheese because my mom actually got me this. She went into her local cheese shop and was like, "What can my daughter take on an outdoor adventure that won't go bad?" And they were like this, and whatever, I have to look up what it was, but that specific cheese, it wasn't Parmesan, but it was like it was amazing. And
Romano?
it wasn't that either. It was something
Um,
special. I can look it up and we can like
okay.
but like, and then I had some bread with it, and my friend who I was climbing with like the weekend after our retreat, she's like, it's the best snack ever. Just had like a little knife.
Cheese and bread, like a backcountry charcuterie is the best.
But anytime I've been motivated, I've been, been not wanting to do the approach to a climb. And I had a friend pull out a Baby Bell from his shirt
Mm.
pocket and was like, if you get to the crag, you get this cheese. And the whole retreat, I was like, cheese snack. And like, so
I
that's
love
what
that.
motivates me is cheese.
Yes.
Put cheese at the top of the anchors and I'll climb up slab that I
You
don't want
know,
to.
sometimes I'll bring like sour Skittle gummies, like we'll be doing switchbacks in the mountains with clients, and I'll be like, if you make it one more switchback, you can have another gummy. Like we'll like
You
use
did
that.
that in the Grand Canyon. I remember it
Yes.
to rim. I am less of a sweet person, although that
I
was
know
very
it doesn't hit for everybody, you know? I gotta
cheese.
bring cheese for Kate, sour Skittle gummies for other people. Okay. What are you currently like adventure-wise focused on and excited about right now?
Yeah, I'm actually super excited. I am in a couple weeks, that very end of this month, I'm going to Washington to climb with a guide that I worked with over the summer. He lives up there, so he's going to show me around. And I've never really been to Washington. I mean, I briefly have, but I've never really
Never
explored.
climbed in Washington.
Yeah. So I'm going to spend a couple days in Seattle where my cousin lives. My old roommates live in Leavenworth. I'm going to go there. And then this guy and
Oh,
I are just going
cool.
to drive around for like 5 days he's going to show me, I mean, weather dependent, but show me the cool things. And it just
Yeah.
looks beautiful. So I'm super stoked on that. And then at the end of October, so that'll be the beginning of October. And then the end of October, like I said, I'm going back to Boston for my
Yes.
full circle 10 years since I started climbing in that gym there to lead a women's climbing clinic to get women outside too. So those are my two things. Like it's kind of been a slow past month in terms of adventure. I had
Yeah.
adventurous summer guiding a lot here in Colorado, and then this past month has more been like, chill because I'm like, okay, October is going to
Needs
be.
to ebb and flow sometimes, you
Yeah,
know?
it very much is, and I'm going to be on both coasts in October, and it's fall is my favorite. I'm just very excited.
Oh, fall's my favorite too. I'm like super excited about this time period right now. Um, Okay, what's your favorite piece of gear that you can't live without? And this question usually goes out to my hikers and backpackers, but Kate is, primarily she hikes and backpacks, but usually to get to a climb. So, what is your favorite piece of gear?
So I have, I think, two. One that is very niche and like most people are going to know, and then one that's a little less that I think actually is more relevant to like maybe the people who are listening to this. So my number one is I like to trad climb where and you put in your own protection. So cams, and I have this old cam, a 3.5 black diamond cam that isn't made anymore, but I was able to find one used, and it once I got it, I was like one of those things I've been looking for because I wanted it and but I didn't want to pay a lot for it and I found it and I use it so much now. I've used it in Joshua Tree. Like it
Just
just
like the perfect size,
is. It's a size that like it's between a 3 and a 4 current cam and it just fits
the
in so
niche
many
size.
things. It's my like, when I go out to Washington, I might not bring my whole rack because I'm gonna probably use the rack of, the person I'm climbing with, but I will probably bring that if he doesn't have one because I love it so much.
May it never get stuck.
I know. I do get nervous when I like if I've been teaching a lot of women trad, like mentoring some people around here, and I sometimes won't give that to them when they're leading because I don't know if they'll overcam it and get it.
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah, I have to see how you place gear before I
This
let
one
go
is
of you use
precious. I'm
that.
sorry.
And I started without it, so it's fine. And then my other thing I would say with climbing is belay glasses. Uh,
The Legals.
Yes, because especially now that I'm guiding and it might be like belaying people top roping all day, like at some kids camps I've done and stuff, like it will just kill your neck to constantly be looking
Yeah.
up. So belay glasses are like, and they're always fun. I feel like guiding again with people who aren't used to them when they see me put them on, if I don't explain them, they're like, oh, what's that? Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to look up. Like, that's so cool. So they're like a fascinating, they're like, they have mirrors. If you haven't seen them before, they have little mirrored lenses so you don't have to crane your neck to look up at your climber. And
Yeah.
like it is
They're
a
much more affordable now too than they used to be. I remember when those first came out like 7 years ago or something. They were like 70, $80. I think now you can get them for about
some that are still expensive, but you
15,
can
20.
pairs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sad because I actually just lost mine on a climbing
Oh.
approach. It was devastating. That's like it is one of my most favorite pieces of gear.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have some. I don't use them that often.
I feel
I
like a
do.
lot of people don't. I'm borrowing some friends right now who does it like because she's like, oh, I have these, but I never use them. You can borrow
When
them.
I lead belay, I don't love to have them because it doesn't feel like as dynamic. Like I don't feel as like intimately with the person.
I don't know if it's weird because of my eye thing already being weird, but for me, I feel like I can wear them better than most people. Like a lot of people, I feel like find them, yeah. And for me, they're so natural that I've started climbing. I've climbed more than halfway up a pitch wearing them before and didn't even
Oh,
realize I had them on
bizarre.
until someone else yelled at me and was like, Kate, are you still wearing your belay glasses? And I'm like, oh shit. So like, I think for me, somehow they work differently, and it might be my weird depth perception eye
Yeah,
thing
maybe
because
so. But I do think they're
yeah.
great. Like I love when I'm doing a lot of top like rope belaying for other people, that there's no like for me reason not to use them because yeah, it
Me
helps.
lead belaying though is the main reason I want to use them because that's where I'm always trying to look at my climber. Like with top rope belaying, you don't have to. I end up,
Yeah.
especially if I'm guiding, I am looking at my climber, but like
Yeah.
with leading, you like really want to be. So yeah, I don't
Yep.
know. Belay glasses, big fan.
Awesome. Okay, what's one area you would happily climb over and over and over again? Had to
10,
pick one spot.
10.
Tensely, me? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I would agree, but like I've only been there once, but for a week.
Like
But
I've
I
only been
love
there.
it. It has left a really solid impression in my
I
mind.
wonder if I've been there only 2 times or maybe three, but it is like,
One of
yeah,
my favorite places.
just whenever I'm feeling, I need to get my lead head back on or just have fun, like it brings the joy back. It's
Yeah.
just such good rock. And then Joshua Tree too, honestly. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
Joshua Tree is so fun.
lucky to go there the last several years,
Such
at
a
least
beautiful, unique landscape too. Like,
it's one of the few places I've been, and I've traveled around a lot where it feels like you're on another planet. Like the first time I drove in there, I was like,
does.
what is this? Like I've never
Especially when you get up high on the rocks, which you do, and you get to see out on everything. It's like really cool.
it's different than other places because it's not like cliff bands and mountains. It's like it feels like giant boulders. I mean, there's little boulders, but then it feels like even the rock walls are just like they look like even bigger boulders. It's just and then you have the Joshua trees, which are so, interesting
Yes,
looking.
iconic.
Yeah. So I would say Ten Sleep, Joshua Tree, are two of the ones for sure.
Yeah. I agree. I like those places as well. Okay, and final rapid fire question. What's your favorite way to celebrate after a big adventure?
Well, I mean, I guess you know from the Grand Canyon, but I do like champagne when it's warranted. Like,
Oh,
I remember at the end of the Grand Canyon rim to rim, we had a cooler because Michael, Allison's husband, was like meeting us at the end, and she was like, everyone put in like the drink that will make you happy, like Gatorade or coconut water,
I
whatever you
actually
wanted.
don't remember you having champagne, but I
I have
love
the bottle
that.
still. I saved it because it was a big thing. But because I remember, and you were like, okay, everyone put in what they want. And I struggled the last like mile and a half with like, I was,
As people do on the
it
rim
felt
to
like I was going
rim.
to vomit. Like I didn't, yay. But like, and so I remember at one point you turned to me and you're like, I don't know if you're going to want that champagne.
It's
Like
like I might have to drink it for you.
when I got to the end and finally was done, it's like my body knows when I'm like, okay, you're done, like it's over. And it was so that champagne. So if it's a big thing, same thing when I got my SPI, like I went and got myself like, and when I say champagne, I mean sparkling wine. I'm not fancy. Like, I'm not getting
Only
like,
from France.
yeah, it doesn't have to be actual champagne, but I do enjoy that. Or like a Summit beer or a cold, like, I don't know. I just feel like that's something bubbly and celebratory and like,
Mm.
and then, maybe some cheese.
Yeah, followed by something cheesy.
Yeah.
Because cheese always favorite trail snack, life snack, all the things.
I am a big, big cheese fan.
All
So then
right,
it
Kate.
doesn't feel as celebratory because I eat cheese a lot. So maybe, fancy cheese, but fancy,
Cheese on
little
pizza or
fancy.
something.
Oh yeah, the fancy pizza that I got in Joshua Tree
Oh
with
my gosh,
you,
she got
like
the,
lobster
I
and
don't know,
like
it didn't sound that great to me, but she was very into it. It was like a lobster pizza.
lobster truffle. I guess so that is how I celebrate. Some kind of fancy food or drink.
Yeah. That was a good, they have a good pizza place in Joshua Tree. We usually do one night where we'll go get pizza.
That was honestly I won't say it was the best classic pizza I've ever had in my life, but was everything I loved on a pizza. So it was the best pizza I've ever had in my
We'll
life.
see if they have that again this year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good place for us to kind of wrap this up. Maybe you can give us just some final thoughts on like if anybody is considering joining a future She Dreams of Alpine climbing retreat, like what would you maybe say to them?
I would say do it. Like if anyone is climbing curious, like this is such a good way to get into it. And like, I can't promise that climbing will be your love like it is mine. You might not
Yes.
fall head over heel hooks for it like I did, but
But it
have the
might.
ready to like no one on our retreats. I mean, we've had people who are brand new to climbing, like never been to the gym, never touched rock, and it's still such a fun experience. Like the people are amazing, the setting is amazing, we will encourage you to try harder than maybe you think you can and do things that scare you in a risk managed way.
Yeah.
So yeah, do
Yeah.
it. That's what I would say is like it's worth it for so many reasons.
Yeah, I think you'll have a good time. I agree with Kate. If you have questions or are curious about it, you can always reach out to us at, support@shedreamsofalpine.com. That
All day. Like
yeah, we'll
like,
like answer
ask
any of
all the
your questions.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I didn't mention this up front, but if you are interested in joining our retreats or one of our future retreats, you can go to shedreamsofalpine.com/climb. And that should take you to our waitlist page. Usually, how it works is we open up our enrollment to existing clients. So that's anybody who's been on a past retreat or anybody who's been part of our Backpacking Badass program. They get first dibs at spots. That's just kind of a perk. But then, usually, a week after it opens to clients, if there are any open spots, we'll open it to the waitlist next. So the waitlist is the best place to be if you aren't an existing client already to like hear about it first and potentially grab a spot. Also, there's like more details on the waitlist page about what these events are like and what to expect. And before we completely wrap up, Kate, maybe you can just let us know like if anybody is interested in following you or like seeing what you're about, where can they connect with you?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at camera_Kate, camera with a C, Kate with the K. And then my new ebook and climbing lingo guide that I'm launching, you can find that at headoverheelhooks.com. Heel like on your foot. It's a climbing move, a heel hook, not like
I'm
healing.
going to heal the world.
Yes, not like that. So HEEL, headoverheelhooks.com.
And I'll link that in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would love to talk climbing with you. Feel free to message me or, I will talk about climbing literally. Like I've had people
All day.
I was like, well, yeah, I can't stop. You have to be the one to stop me.
Both Kate and I are kind of obsessed, and Kate probably even more, even though like I feel pretty obsessed as well.
Yeah,
So
I do have a tendency towards finding one thing and obsessing. You tend to dabble a little more,
I
like
would say climbing and hiking and backpacking are like my main things, but I do dabble in some other things like,
a little more than I do, where I'm
yeah.
just like climbing, that's it. I will hike to the climb. I will
Yes,
backpack to the climb. Like
exactly.
I will train hike to be better at the approach hikes to the climbs. Like
Exactly. She's got everything's in motivation for the climb. I get it. All right. Thank you so much, Kate. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode. We will see you next week. Bye. Hey, I wanted to thank you real quick for tuning into the show and listening all the way to the end. If you love this episode and you want deeper support in becoming a safe, confident, and self-sufficient hiker and backpacker, then head over to shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist to learn more about our Backpacking Badass coaching program, where I teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be self-reliant on the trails and stop waiting around on others for the adventure invite. So I'd love to help you more in your journey of stepping into your adventurous identity, and that program is the absolute best place for us to start working together. So again, that's shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist, and you can learn all about it there. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you get to spend some time outside this week, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. Bye.